Shalom, shalom, Israel. Let's meditate today on the word, that we may keep our faith steady, right? Remember that faith is forward, or faith is like a steady tower, right? I don't know if there's a verse for that, but the way I observed when Peter was trying to cross the river, right? The moment he doubted, that's when faith, that's when the time he went down the water, right? But if we keep our faith forward, straight, and aligned and according to the Most High, right, our faith can be stiff or straight, right? So when we're trying to go into something, we have to keep it straight, right? Our faith must be above the fear of the world versus the fear of the Most High. We must fear the Most High, right? That's why our faith in the Most High must be increased, right? And to have faith gives us patience, right? And to have patience gives us more endurance, right? Because the testing of faith increases patience. This is James chapter 1 and verse 3. Knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience, right? And I think this is talking about courage, right? Because when you're trying to be courageous or being courageous, you have to risk something, right? That's why courage is a more evolved version of faith, right? And much courage builds confidence, right? And that's the time when you can fear the Most High versus fearing the world, right? So our faith must be steady, right? And how do we remain steady, right? By being temperate, right? Because when our faith is shaken, remember, our faith is being tested. So when our faith is being tested, that's the time when our faith shakes, right? Think of a tower when earthquake shakes, right? It shakes the tower, right? That is the same with faith, right? Our faith teaches us patience, right? So we have to be patient, but with that we have to be also temperate, right? Because if we keep rushing, we worry, and worrying feeds off fear of the world, right? So we must fear the Most High by being temperate, right? That we may not corrupt our minds, right? So this is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 9 verse 25. And every man that striveth for the mastery, right? Christ said that we be ye perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect, right? Keep in mind, right? Excuse me. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but an incorruptible one, right? So start with yourself, man, right? Fix the things that you need to fix first, right? Before trying out other stuff, right? Because every man that strives for the mastery is temperate, right? One law at a time, right? One word at a time, one verse at a time, and you will gradually increase, right? Because I think there's a verse which says that, I think this is a good partnership with that verse. Because when we rush things, right, we worry stuff, right? And that's where stress comes in, right? And stress pressures us into doing stuff that we don't want to do, right? That's why temperance is very important. We need to take that medicine of temperance. How? By taking it slowly, right? Take things slowly. And adding to this, if we rush things or do things that is above our strength, right, we might end up with this verse, right? This is Sirach chapter 3 verse 21. Seek not out things that are too hard for thee, neither search the things that are above thy strength, right? Remember, we don't have to worry that much because the Most High knows what we need, right? Even before we pray, the Most High already knows what we need. And that may be food, that may be clothing, shelter, right? Just pray for what you need and the primary stuff that you need, right? Stability, peace, and keeping of the law, right? Understanding of the law, right? Along this walk, when you pray, some videos some videos will pop out and teach you on how to keep other laws, right? Because there's so many laws out there from in the Bible, the feast days, and studying the doctrine at the same time, having work and having, you know, Pharisees out there, or hypocrites. So you really have to take things slow and have a temperate mindset, right? Take things slowly. The Most High knows your heart, man. Just don't abuse His kindness and mercy and grace, and you'll be fine, right? So continuing on, neither search the things that are above thy strength, right? Pray for what is important, right? Pray for understanding of the law. Verse 22, but what is commanded thee, right? So just focus on what is commanded to you and not settle to debates that are currently irrelevant, right? Focus first on building yourself up, because remember, you are a tower of the Most High. You are the Most High also rests in you, right? Because the kingdom of the Most High is in us, right? Continuing, think thereupon with reverence, for it is not needful for thee to see with thine eyes the things that are in secret, right? So there are some things that you can't see right now, right? And don't focus on that, right? Just focus on keeping the law, navigate your way properly in this walk, because there's a lot of temptation. The straight way is a very narrow path. There's so many traps out there, right? And a lot of people fall. I hope that they may bounce back, right? Same goes to me. I fall a lot. So a righteous man falleth 7 times but stands up again. So continuing, verse 23, be not curious in unnecessary matters, for more things are shewed unto thee than men understand, right? So the unnecessary stuff, just keep focusing on the law, the Sabbath, understanding the feast days, right? Don't focus much on the letters of Paul, right? We already know that the law is not done away with, right? The law still stands, right? Should be seen just because we are under grace. What did the Most High said? The Most High said, God forbid, right? So we just keep on meditating on the law, and the Lord will straighten. I think He will straighten your heart. I think I need to search for that. This is a very good verse. Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus chapter 6 and verse 37. Let thy mind be upon the ordinances of the Lord, which is the law, and meditate continually in His commandments, right? He shall establish thine heart. He shall build your heart, right? He shall build your mind around the law, right? Because when you are meditating on that law, He will build that tower inside of your mind, right? Remember, the Most High is like a tower. I think that's in the book of Nahum. He shall establish thine heart and give thee wisdom at thine own desire, right? So be patient. Always withstand any temptation. Just always meditate repetitively, daily. Because so many temptations out there, so many traps, so many snares, right? You just have to really meditate on it daily and not focus on stuff that are very, very complex right now. I'm in my walk. I'm in this walk for now at least a year and a half, almost going for 2 years, and I don't know, the irrelevant parts, such as I think Paul's letters, and stuff. I'm just currently meditating on Sirach, Proverbs, and Psalms, and studying a bit of the law, because some of the feast days are a bit complex, right? But thanks to Sons of Thunder Israelites, they are helping me understand the law through their videos, and sometimes they reply at my email. So credits to them. I think I might be lost if without for them, right? So yeah, this Sirach 637 is very, very important, because in this walk we have to, we're building something, right? And if you rush things will fall apart, right? Because if you don't build the right way, it's gonna fall off, right? So let's go back to the scripture section. Sirach chapter 3 and verse 23, right? Be not curious in unnecessary matters, right? The only thing that we will only be curious right now is the law, right? If the law in your mind is still not established or is still not stable, you forget it sometimes, then it's not yet stable, right? It's better to remain curious in the law versus being curious on stuff that is irrelevant right now, right? Let the experts handle that for now, right? For more things are shewed unto thee than men understand. Verse 24. And this is the main point. Yeah, so this is the main point, right? Sirach chapter 3 and verse 24. Or Ecclesiastes. For many are deceived by their own vain opinion, and an evil suspicion had overthrown their judgment, right? Our reasoning is very, very important, right? That's why we have to limit our power of reasoning to the law, right? Not others irrelevant stuff, right? We already know that the Most High that Christ is not the Most High. That you have to keep the laws. The law stands. That's all the key scriptures that you need to understand in understanding this doctrine, right? So start with that. Meditate on the law because you know it's very, very difficult if we fall, right? Because we have to bounce back. We do fall, but we bounce back because a righteous man falls 7 times, but we stand back and bounce back again, right? So this is a good partnership with that incorruptible crown. So yeah, if we don't have the right temperance or the right patience in understanding what is important, then we may have a corruptible one, right? When our faith is shaken because of too much rush, too much rush will make you worry, right? And worrying feeds off the fear of the world versus the fear of the Most High. So with that, I want to thank you for listening. That's something that I want to meditate right now because we have to always remind ourselves, right? Because to meditate daily is to remind ourselves daily of the word, and yeah, thank you.